very good morning to you. Welcome to Global TV, and many thanks for joining us this morning for the newspaper review. And of course, the president yesterday, owing to the 60 days, and of course, Femi Gbajabiamila, the chief of staff to the president, of course, submitted the names to the Senate president yesterday, which was read on the floor. Of course, there have been reactions on there and there. But before I will go into the discussions on the ministry release, let's take a look at some major stories on Nigeria's newspaper this morning. Let's take Daily Sun newspaper. Ministerial nominees, Fayemi Umahi, Wike, Edu, El-Rufai, and 23 others face Senate. And also on the Daily Sun, we have court strikes out fresh application by VSS to further detain Emefiele. Of course, you can see that on page 4 on the Daily Sun newspaper this morning. And also, we have doctors who left Nigeria still on payroll. Akuebeze. This has to do with doctors, of course, leaving the country for other opportunities, and we of course been told that they are still on payroll, the federal government payroll. Just get to page 27 to get more details on that. Subsidy: federal government warns NLC over planned strike, declares action contempt of cuts. Of course, these controversies over NLC going on strike, and the federal government is saying it's on a contempt of cut for them to go on strike. Just get to page 28 of the Daily Sun newspaper to get more details on that. And of course, Federally Independent newspaper this morning, one of the big stories on the Daily Independent says Senate vows nominee screening won't be business as usual. You can find this on page 7 of the Daily Independent newspaper. And still on that, we find stakeholders suggest solution to ease hardship, training subsidy removal. Page 6 of the Daily Independent, you can find this writing story. A 6 aircraft startup from Nigeria's airline is anti-business. This is reaction from AON. Lawyer cheated DSS overbid to get fresh detention order for Emefiele. You can still find this story on the Daily Independent newspaper this morning. Let's get over to Vanguard. 11 states to wait as Tinubu sends 28 nominees to Senate. 11 states to wait as Tinubu sends 28 nominees to Senate for the names that will be sent in for further confirmations by the Senate next week. Still on Vanguard, court rejects DSS fresh request to detain Emefiele for another 14 days. Court rejects DSS fresh. We saw reactions by DSS with Nigerians regarding the detentions of the former CBN governor, the controversial, photos that drug will be in position of the former CBN governor. And of course, the court have rejected the fresh allegations of the request for them to detain Emefiele for further trials. Let's go over to the Punch newspaper. Full cabinet in 2 weeks. Gbajabiamila. National Assembly awaits other state nominees. PDP failed Wike's nomination regarding the appointment of the nomination of the former governor of Rivers State, who is till today member of the PDP. And of course, Nigerians are waiting to see how this will get to unfold itself. Subsidy removal. Tinubu begs Nigerians to persevere more. President Tinubu begs Nigerians to persevere more. You can find this on page 8 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Reduce government borrowing from CBN. World Bank tells Nigeria. Reduce borrowing from CBN. World Bank tells Nigeria. You can find this on page 17 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Of course, the controversies over the economic situation of the country has led the World Bank to inform Nigeria. Of course, it's not just an advice. It is what we expect that the federal government will adhere to because of the economic situations of this country. Lagos CP launches Operation Flush after Punch. Reporters, of course, this has to do with reactions by the Lagos State Commission of Police launching an operation Flush After. We will get to unfold itself, trying to combat the security situation over there at the Lagos. You understand the populations over there at Lagos and the security challenges that are facing. The CP is on his feet to see how you can actually combat the situations. We'll go on a break, and once we return, we'll be having a lawyer joining us on the conversation. Let's take a look at the ministerial nominations of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Don't go away. National papers. Joining me this morning on the conversation is Lagos to join us on these conversations regarding the presidential nomination. Governors have about 60 days for them to be able to send names to the Senate, and these also are
3 ministers. Yeah, even though he